Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting evening of the Garena Premier League Winter Season Quarterfinals. My name is Chris, and I'm joined by Wolf once again for today's matchup of Mineski against the Taipei Snipers.
That's right. Today we will have Mineski play the last quarterfinal matchup against the Azubu Taipei Snipers, and this will be the first time Mineski will be playing on the 3.14 patch, or better known as the Pi patch, here in the GPL. So what do you think are Mineski's chances coming into this game?
Well, definitely to be said for Snipers, they are the first seed coming in for Group B, so they will have the numbers advantage, and I think they are definitely the hot favorites of coming in. But for Mineski, I love their way of doing things. I will call them the king of upsets.
The king of upsets indeed, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, when they actually went in for the Southeast Asian regional qualifiers for Season 3, they weren't even supposed to be there.
That's right.
They actually replaced the top seed in the Philippines, which, for the life of me, I can't remember their names at this point of time. They went in, came through the losers bracket after losing to Singapore Sentinels in the upper bracket, went down to the lower bracket, came back and beat SGS to qualify for Worlds. So
that's right. So I think they are the successful underdog story, especially like you mentioned, the Southeast Asian qualifiers, and I think they definitely have it in them to try to do something like that, and I think they just need to find that kind of momentum to try to beat out Taipei Snipers. And a very good point mentioned as well, that they are playing for the very first time on the 3.14 patch, and in that sense, between both teams, anything can happen. You know, especially for Wednesday's matchup when we had the Singapore Sentinels go up against HQ Esports Club. At first, we thought that HQ Esports Club might not favor the patch so much, just because of the fact of their playstyle and how the patch has kind of revolved around changing the matchup just a little bit, and it will kind of just bring the game slightly longer than it was before. And you know, HQ just adopted so well to that, and they came out way on top, and they managed to bring it to a 3-0 against Singapore Sentinels. And this time around, I think Mineski, if they have done their homework and they have kind of brought their gameplay around to revolve around the 3.14 patch, I think they'll definitely do much better than they did.
Yeah, it was very obvious in the AHQ against SGS match on Wednesday night in itself that AHQ was, I would say, very dominant, very prepared for the patch coming in. We were talking about it earlier as well, and I was actually kind of asking you, will we see the Olaf, Mundo, as well as Severe pickup coming into the games tonight? I do expect these picks to be contested if the teams have adopted to the 3.14 patch. And not only that, SGS has actually played in the 3.14 patch in the GPL, and so has TPS when they played New Illusion Esports for Lewis. So even if you have played the 3.14 patch in the GPL, it doesn't mean that you're more prepared. I feel that if the teams come in with a proper strategy, adopting to the patchwork a little bit more, you come in the better team, I feel.
That's right, and not only that, I think for Taipei Snipers, the thing about them is that they have somewhat prepared for the 3.14 patch as well, because in the earlier matchups in the previous weeks, we've seen them bring up picks like Rengar, Dr. Mundo in the jungle, and these are some of the more favorable picks in the competition scene when it comes for this current patch. And I think because of that, they do have some familiarization with the packs, but that in itself, it just gives away some of their strategies in their sense. So if they are going to bring out those picks, then Mineski will say, okay, I've seen you done Rengar before, I've seen you do Dr. Mundo before, and I think I know where you're going with this. And I think I have this strategy to try to counter that out. So it's going to be up, so it's going to be up to Mineski to really do their research and study what Taipei Snipers have to bring for them.
And speaking about strategies coming in, you always kind of emphasize that the 3.14 patch changed up the jungle and support roles quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we know Mineski to play that Nautilus, Amumu jungle, as well as the trash support. We like to coin the term Hook City when it starts the ball rolling. So Mineski kind of has that so-called quote-unquote pocket pick, I feel. It's not really a pocket pick anymore because they've kind of showed it about 3 to 4 times in the GPL. So if they do bring out Hook City in the form of Nautilus, maybe even Blitzcrank or Thresh in the support roles as well as in the jungle roles, we could see some very early picks coming in from Mineski, just trying to disrupt the early game as well as mid-game momentum of the Azubu Taipei Snipers.
Right, and speaking about Hook City as well, I think Taipei Snipers might want to try to contest for that fresh pick as well. We've seen Mistake play that once in a while, and I think Mistake is the other support player that has kind of moved away from the Fiddlesticks, Annie, and Fresh Trilane. He has tried out Janna as well, even though that has not really worked excellent for him. But I think in that sense, in the new patch, we really we are not really sure what this these teams have to bring in new strategies for this competition to try to make it out of the quarterfinal stages.
Yeah, and speaking about quote-unquote traditional supports that Riot has kind of so-called changed in the 3.14 patch, we haven't really seen many of them been picked up in this so-called 3.14 GPL matchups so far, except with the exception of Taric, of course. So we haven't seen Sona, Soraka, wait a minute, Nami, Janna, as well as, let me think, Sona, Soraka, Nami, Janna. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
and of course Taric, which we've seen already, and Lulu, sorry,
yeah.
Lulu and Taric, both of these champions we've seen. So we haven't really seen the other 4 supports just yet, but we are into picks and bans. Mineski will be playing on the blue side, and the Azubu Taipei snipers will be playing on the purple side. Bans have already gone underway. Elise and Lee Sin on the side of Mineski, Kale and Annie on the side of Azubu Taipei snipers. Do these bans kind of tell anything to you, Chris, at this point of time?
Well, it just goes to show that Mineski wants to ban out heavily on the side of Taipei Snipers wins, because he's extremely proficient in Lee Sin and Elise. And they have banned out their Rengar as well, which goes to show that they don't want Zonda to create this split-pushing potential that he has shown earlier in the previous weeks when he's running that Rengar. And Rengar, in that sense, up in the top lane, you do have that 3 brushes now, so it's a very favorable position to play in. So taking that Rengar away from Taipei Snipers would definitely secure some, just some securities for them. And they have taken away Fresh as that first pick, and I like that coming in from them, but they will be giving out a lot of picks away to Taipei Snipers to play around with.
Yeah, a lot of the priority pickups coming in. Thresh is something that we've seen throughout ever since his induction into the league, and we may see the Silver as well as the Vi pick up. Vi, of course, very favorable for wins. He's what Monte Cristo likes to call a carnivore jungler. If he picks up the Mundo in the jungle, that's going to be very strong too. Mundo could always go in the top lane, but wins, if you actually wants to focus on the typical Southeast Asian playstyle in itself, a lot of the plays in the GPL revolve around the jungler. We see Hallelujah being an aggressive jungler. We know Safety is a pretty aggressive jungler. Wins is, I would say, one of the most aggressive junglers coming into League of Legends in the GPL itself.
Right, not only that, it also I remember back in the day when, before the Shyvana rework, we often see Mundo go up against Shyvana as kind of like a hard counter, because you can somewhat brawl with Shyvana really effectively as well. So, I mean, that Mundo pick, you can either send it up to the top lane, and looking at what Zonda has in the summoner spells right now, he's going for that flash and teleport. So we might even see Mundo up in the top lane, and that will effectively counter out if Mineski wants to go for the Shyvana pick as well. But let's see what Mineski would try to kind of counter pick Taipei Snipers at this point of time. They are now currently hovering over Tryndamere as well as Tristana, and moving over to the Maokai. I'm not too sure whether they would want to go for Maokai. And with the timer ticking down, it does look like they will secure that Maokai in their champion pool, and be switching up to Twitch in the last minute.
I see a pattern coming down from Mineski so far. All their champions kind of look a bit green, sickly green. So
the environmentally friendly Mineski.
I don't know whether environmentally friendly might be.
They are green, They just show the sign of greenness.
Twitch is a toxic rat.
Yeah, fine, but he is green, like you mentioned.
Fine,
he's green.
Jeez.
That's right.
So if they do lock in the Vi pick on the side of Azubu Taipei Snipers, which they're hovering over, it is going to be Vi in the jungle, Mundo in the top lane by Zonda, and I actually want to talk about Sona support coming into this game. Doesn't look like they're going to pick it just yet, but Sona support has been changed quite a bit. Her power chords has been kind of buffed up in the 3.14 patch, giving a little bit extra slow to the E power-up power chord, a little bit extra damage to the Q power-up power chord, and of course the damage reduction coming in from W on that power chord as well. So that's going to be very interesting. But no, they decided to pick your quote-unquote flavor of the month, tanky support champion. It's going to be Taric coming into this game.
Right, so we have seen the bottom matchup being decided for both teams already. For Mineski, it's going to be Fresh and Twitch in the bottom lane going up against Silver and Taric. And the interesting thing about Silver and Taric down in the bottom lane in the 3.14 patch is that it has kind of evolved to be one of the strongest all-in potential lane at level 3. If you can get in the Dazzle together with the Shadow, and then you chain that up together with the Boomerang Blade, and land a few hits in with the Ricochet Blades, then it will deal a whole ton of damage, and you will kind of come out ahead in that one small, tiny exchange. But in the sense, between Taipei Snipers and Mineski, they would definitely have kind of read up what's new and what's going to be the most dangerous threat coming in for this one. So Mineski might want to try to avoid that, and they do have that thresh in the arsenal as well. So he can kind of flay them away in that perspective. It does look like they will secure the last 2 picks for themselves. It's going to be Ziggs in the mid lane and possibly Jax up in the top lane.
It's most likely going to be Jax in the top lane. What I want to point out from Mineski's team lineup is that TG is going to be on a very comfortable champion that he really likes to play a lot. It's going to be his Twitch. And we've seen his Twitch kind of deal a lot of damage, a lot of burst damage coming in early. And in combination with the Thresh as well as his death sentence, and the expunge as well as the poison tick coming in is going to do a lot of damage. So the early level bursts coming in from both the bot lanes are going to be quite scary in itself.
That's right, but my consideration for Mineski right now at this point of time is that they do have somewhat a very straightforward team composition for themselves. They do have the option for Snoy to go ahead and split push in the later stages of the game, but right at the start when they go for the team fight, what they want to do is to create space for TG to just fire away with the spray and pray. But the primary concern for this is that they do have Vi in the arsenal of Taipei snipers, and that just brings him to a huge amount of danger in that sense, because for Wins, he could just dash right into the fray and just zero him out right from the start, and because of that, you know, you wouldn't have enough protection to just protect that rat from firing away.
I don't know, having Thresh on the side of Mineski should help a lot. We know that Set is a very comfortable with Thresh, I would say. And having that on the team, coming in with the Vi, if the Vi does use the Vault Breaker or Assault and Battery combo onto Twitch, he can pop the box, throw in the Death Sentence as well as the Flay just to keep Wins in place, allowing TG to reposition himself and deal as much damage to that jungler who is overextended. But on the side of the Taipei snipers, however, if Wins does make that extremely long initiation, we do have Mundo able to throw in a few infected cleavers, go in being that tanky masochist that he actually is. And not only that, we do have Sivir who is able to pop on the hunt, allows Orianna with the speed boost from the dissonance as well as Taric to go in with the shatter as well as Radiance auras and burst damage coming in. So I wouldn't say that Azubu Taipei snipers have somewhat of an all-in team composition, but if they want to go in and single out either maybe TG or EXO, they can do it.
That's right, and something to mention as well, like we were talking about for Taipei snipers, is that you know, like you mentioned, you're right. With the box and the Flay and the Dark Passage as well, Set might be able to somewhat protect TG, but I think Taipei Snipers has kind of sealed the deal quite well with the Orianna pickup as well. Because if everyone tries to cluster up together to try to protect TG, then they will be caught in the trap card of the Command Shockwave, and that is just too much danger for Mineski to try to deal with. And at this point of time, I think what Mineski needs to do is play to their team composition. But I'm quite surprised for them to bring out their Maokai pick as well. We have not seen that in the longest time already.
Well, Maokai was a favorite Season 2 jungler brought out by the Odd One, Snoopy's. Odd One and Snoopy's more, I would call them favorite jungle pickups coming in. Maokai does bring quite a bit to the table, I feel, especially up against the current TPS team. He will have the Twisted Advance to probably lock up. Got JJ, and as well as the Arcane Smash to pull off some knockups. And not only that, his ultimate will actually be able to kind of disrupt as well as prevent some of the AoE damage or just damage in general coming in from the side of Azubu Taipei snipers.
Right, and the good thing about him playing that Maokai pick as well is that he doesn't have to face the threat of any of this dash or flashing away, blinking away champions like probably Ezreal. You know, it's kind of frustrating when you're going for a Twisted Advance gang onto an Ezreal and then he just Arcane Shift way back into the turret range, and you'll just be like, you just know that you have caught yourself in a deep, weird, awkward position. And that's the other problem that I think Vi faces as well, but not so much for Maokai, because Maokai, he just has that Twisted Advance to go in. He doesn't have the Vault Breaker to try to disengage out of the way as well. So I think Noel, he has to keep that in mind, and the Flash as well. I mean, if Orianna, he gets caught by the Twisted Advance, he can just flash right back to the way and then go with the Command Shockwave to go for the counter kill from there.
Yeah, the Maokai initiation is something that is, I would say, very iffy, because like you said, you can be easily dispositioned out of the way if they pull off a very clutch flash or maybe a dash away. But most of the Azubu Taipei snipers do not have such anything built into their kit from the champions in itself. So Noel should have an easier time, like you said. And it's going to be very interesting because we haven't really seen Maokai in the GPL, especially this season or even the previous season. So how Maokai kind of interacts with the rest of the team, I don't really know how it's going to go. But the fact is that Set, Noel, as well as Snoy on Maokai, Jax, as well as Trash can easily go in and try to disrupt as much of the team, of the Azubu Taipei snipers as possible. And if you have Ziggs as well as Twitch on the sidelines, safe in the back, to just deal as much damage with the spray and pray as well as the spell rotations coming out from Ziggs, that's going to be very strong. So we are into the loading screen right now, and we will be taking a look at the matchups coming into this game in itself. So let's just run through Mineski's lineup. So in the top lane, we will have Snoy on Jax. In the jungle, it's going to be Noel on Maokai. In the mid lane, it's going to be Exo playing Ziggs. And finally, in the dual lane, it's going to be TG on Twitch as well as Set on Trash.
And for the side of the Taipei Snipers, it's going to be Zonda up in the top lane with Dr. Mundo, Wins in the jungle with Vi, O'Real in the mid lane this time playing Oriana, and got JJ in the bottom lane together with Mistake playing Silver and Taric. And I gotta say, I love the Taric skin, man. The all fabulous pink armor of the 5th age Taric.
Armor of the 5th age Taric is quite cool, but
yes,
I don't know.
Why? It's pink, it's fabulous, man. You gotta give it to him, man. And it is truly, truly outrageous.
I know, I like the emerald skin better.
The green one?
The green one, yeah.
Oh, well, okay, preference, it's just a little bit of a color preference there. And we will be waiting for the game to start up as we will see Mineski facing off against Taipei Snipers real shortly. And gentle reminder to all viewers out there, it is Friday the 15th, so we might see one of the teams maybe not having the best of their luck.
Here we are on Summoner's Rift. The game has been resumed. It's going to be me, Wolf, as well. My co-caster today is going to be Chris. So Mineski up against Azubu Taipei Snipers, game number 1. We are in game.
That's right, and we do see the ancient coin starts from both support players. I think that has been the favorable item start for most of the support players nowadays. And another gentle reminder to our viewers, it's going to be a best of 5 series, so hopefully we do get to see a game 5 in some of the other quarterfinals matchup we unfortunately got to. The furthest was game number 4, if I'm not wrong.
That's right. It was the Saigon Jokers up against Hong Kong Attitude game. So we do have TG get caught out. Will he be able to escape
the
for this one?
Breaker goes down onto TG as well. He has gone stealth. It does look like Taipei Snipers will back away from there, and that was a really, really close call for the Rats TG over there.
Yeah. They're actually considering to dive this one, but I highly doubt that they will go for the dive here. They may decide to go for invade. We do have 4 members at the bottom side of the jungle, and Mineski may respond with their own red buff invade in itself. They do have that buff warded though, so it's definitely going to spot out any sort of map movement coming in from the Azubu Taipei Snipers.
Right, so like I mentioned, Taipei Snipers will be spotted out with that one ward that's just lying around the area, and they will do their own counter jungling on their own aspect. So I think it's going to be a buff trade-off, and I think it's a very aggressive move coming in from Taipei Snipers, just maintaining their early game dominance in that aspect. And there we go, the sweeping lens as well will take away the ward, that vision away from Mineski at this point of time. And once again, one more ward being placed down and taken away. There you go, Set gets caught out with the Dazzle, and he has to flash out of the way, not wanting to be hit by the Vault Breaker. So
Mineski should have just given Azubu Taipei Snipers that red buff. They couldn't do really much to disrupt that one anyway, or even possibly try for a steal. And Set going in, wasting his flash there, it's gonna put that bot lane in a huge disadvantage. The moment Mistake hits level 3 and God JJ hits level 3, if they actually have that pushing power coming into the lane with the boomerang blades as well as the ricochet, you won't have that flash up. Go in with the dazzle and just burst anyone down.
Right, at first I thought the intention for Mineski there was to try to buy some time for Snoy up in the top lane, but I think for Zonda it was a great decision coming in from them to just quickly burn the teleport to get right back into the lane. So because of that, he's able to kind of catch up with the experience. There we go, the Dazzle onto Set once again with the boomerang blade, now dealing on some hurt onto him, and O'Real now coming ahead in the exchange against Exo. So Taipei Snipers really putting on the hurt on Taipei Snipers, against Mineski at this point of time.
Yeah, the lanes for Mineski doesn't seem to be doing too well. The only one that I feel that is going to probably be quite even will be the Jax against Dr. Mundo lane. He does use health as a resource. The dev centers will come out and slightly miss, and it's just going to be, you know, kind of some lane farm here and there.
Right, so we are right back into this game, and what do you think of this early strategies that Taipei Snipers need to pull out? And actually, we do see a gank up onto Exo. That was a clean gank coming in, wins with the great awareness. First blood for Taipei Snipers, and I think that's the great way to start off for them, and they need to kind of maintain this early game lead in order for them to pull out the all-famous buffet strategy that they always like to do.
This is very classic Azubu Taipei Snipers. You will have the, whoa, nice spell shield come out from God JJ just to prevent any sort of counter initiation under the turret. So we do have a gank in the top lane that's happening right now, and Snoy taken down extremely low. Does have to use the counter strike to save himself. Doesn't burn any summoner spells in the top lane, so Snoy gonna be happy with that. He's probably gonna back off because the lane is pushed up quite a bit. So like I said, this is very typical of the Azubu Taipei Snipers. You have Wins constantly putting lane pressure, whoa, so much damage coming out from Mistake as well as God JJ. The Ricochet is just going to continue to bounce on on set as well as TG. But like I said, Wins playing the aggressive game going to work in Azubu Taipei's favor. Azubu Taipei Sniper's favor.
Right, and it's strange though that he is the one putting on the aggression because he hasn't reached level 6 with the Assault and Barry that would give him that guaranteed hard CC. And meanwhile, we do see Noah coming into the bottom lane. Will he go for the gank? And there we go, with the Twisted Advance onto Mistake at this point in time. A misplay coming in from Set there, and the sapling goes down to Mistake. It does look like they will not go down in the exchange. And now got JJ turning on and putting on some exchange onto the bottom lane of Mineski here. And does look like this this gang will not come out ahead on the side of Mineski. Yeah, and with the Vault Breaker into the mid lane as well. Now Exo taking on a whole lot of damage, and does look like he will be able to back off with the help of the Central Charge as well as the Explosive Minefield.
Yeah, that's right. And in that gang, we actually saw Noel go in for the Twisted Advance onto Mistake, and neither God JJ or Mistake actually burned off any summoner spells. So, you know, that's, I would consider not a very good gang coming in. They do have to back off. We will see God JJ as well as Mistake come back with that slight item advantage, having that Vampiric Scepter onto Sivir. And, you know, having that extra damage in lane as well as lifesteal is just going to solidify their dominance in that bot lane in itself.
Right, not only that, we do see God JJ coming up on top slightly on CS as well, as they are slowly clearing out this whole wave for themselves. That will secure some more kills. Some more gold for God JJ in the meantime, as we do see Snoy and Zonda brawling it out in the top lane, and Zonda surprisingly coming right out on top of this one. I think it must be the works of the Infected Cleaver like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Having that slight level advantage ever since you had to have Snoy go back from the gank from Wins, as well as that pressure coming in, knowing that Wins may be on the sidelines will force Snoy to kind of play slightly passively, and that passive play will probably earn you some cleavers to the face, and that's just not good on the side of Mineski at all. What Mineski needs to do, or actually what Noel needs to do, is to mainly just... How does God JJ pull off these spell shields?
Well, I think it's just a matter of reflex, man. Quick fingers, fastest fingers first, earns you the victory in this game.
That's the second death sentence he's actually shielded. So the aggressiveness coming from Snoy actually is a very telling sign the moment he hits level 6. That's what Jax players like to do, because having the additional burst damage on the third strike from your Grandmaster's Might in itself will actually deal quite a bit of damage.
Right, at this point of time, we do see Noah looking around the sidelines, but it does look like Wins will be right around the corner to try to do some counter jungling, or at least to respond to what Mineski has in store for them. It does look
gonna
like
be in a bit of trouble once again.
Yeah, it does look like Wins will go up against Exo once again. There we go. With the shockwave landing onto him as well, it does look like he will just melt down to the face of Wins there. That's the second kill right down in the middle. And once again with
the third death sentence he spell shielded.
Is that going to be our next mini game of this one? Count the amount of death sentence being blocked up by the spell?
No, just count how many spell shields God JJ is going to proc this game.
Right, and I think it's rather frustrating for Set as well, because every time he tries to go in for that death sentence exchange, he just gets immediately blocked out from God JJ. And not only that, it just replenishes his mana, and he'll be able to throw even more boomerang blades as well as ricochet.
God JJ is like, you know what I feel? He's like standing in a position in which Set is going to death sentence him. He's going to bait out the death sentence, and then says, hey, I've got my spell shield. I'm going to recover back some mana and throw a few more boomerang blades as well as ricochets at your face.
Thank you for the mana regeneration.
Yeah. Thank you for the free mana.
Right, and at this point of time, he's sitting at a 25 CS advantage over TG at this point of time. It does look like Noel would want to have an answer to that as he slowly heads down to the bottom lane. But it does look like Taipei Snipers would have some response of their own as well. There we go, Noel now jumping right into the fray. And he does finally landing onto Mistake at this point of time. Zonda teleporting right back into the fray. Barrier has to be popped for TG at this point of time. And God JJ will be able to secure the kill with the Boomerang Black. A solid battery now goes down to Noel. In front of that one will come down onto set there, and Noel will just get decimated in the entire process. Taipei Snipers now with 5 men grouping down into the bottom lane. It does look like they want to secure one of the major objectives soon as they slowly head over to Dragon.
Yeah, and Zonda using that recall at this point of time to go back and respond to any sort of free farm that Snoy will get in the top lane is quite a good decision, because you never want Jax to actually farm ahead and be that late game terror of a monster in fact, and that 5-man appearance in the bot lane just showed how much TPS knew that they just wanted all the kills there. They rotated perfectly with the teleport from Zonda, as well as the rotations from Wins and Oriel from the mid lane down to the bottom lane, went in and just pretty much crushed.
Right, and between Zonda as well as Oriel and Wins, it was almost like, you know, telepathy. They knew for a fact that they wanted to assist down the bottom lane. They knew for a fact that Noah would try to respond to what God JJ and Mistake was doing down the bottom lane, together with the ward spawning out his movement as well. Just some quick reaction and a very good decision calling coming in from Taipei Snipers, and that earned them that 3 kills as well as that dragon. So that would put them at a good 3,000 goal lead right in this game.
Yeah, and speaking about wards, this is very typical of Azubu Taipei Snipers where Wins is ahead. We saw, actually you can see even now that there are 3 deep wards in, okay, well, 1 just expired. There are now 2 deep wards on the side of Azubu Taipei Snipers in the bot lane, and this just shows that Wins wants to predict the movements of Noel and maybe even counter gang, or even predict some of the rotations coming in from Mineski and just be that ever-present champion or that ever-present threat across the map. And he's done such a great job because, as you can see, out of the 5 kills that Azubu Taipei Snipers have, he's already participated in 4.
Right, with that 103 in under his belt. And I think what he has done as well is that putting enough pressure onto Exo so that he can't really roam around the map. He has to stay in lane to kind of farm up the goal deficit that Oriel has been dishing onto him at this point in time. 3-0 on, finish up the 18th on the Holy Grail again already, and there we go, once again it engaged down at the bottom, this time TG putting on some hurt onto Mistake, but he is not too afraid at this point of time. There we go, Death Sentence onto Set right there. Jumps right back in with the second point. Mistake now looks like he will go down to an exchange, but Set will be the one picking that up, and God JJ will have to run away from that with on the hunt. But you know, Mistake is the only one that went on the process, and it took 3 men of Mineski just to do so.
Yeah, I believe 2 ultimates were used in that one. The box as well as the Vengeful Maelstrom. So that's what we have here just to kill off Mistake as a support. And Tarek is not one of the easiest supports to kill. He does have that aura coming in. Oh, the cleaver coming out. Wanted to hit Snoy there, but you know, Snoy will have none of that at this point of time. Let's kind of take a look at the gang here.
And there we go, the Assault Battery right into the face to get a chain up with the command shockwave as well. That is going to be 1 dead Exo right there. There was no point of escape from that one. And beautiful chain up as well. And this is just textbook style gang coming in from Taipei.
Yeah, this is a textbook style Oriana Vi gang. You saw the Assault Battery come in, knock Exo up, and the moment he landed, the shockwave came out, and wherever the shockwave pulled him, Wins charged up the Vault Breaker and knocked him up 1 more time. So that's just that for Exo in the mid lane.
Right, and God JJ and Mistake as well will take down the bottom lane turret. It does look like Wins and Oriel making work into the mid lane. It does look like they will take that out very quickly as well. And Snoy brawls out Zonda up in the top lane, but Zonda will have that ultimate to sustain himself right in the top lane against Snoy, so he's not too concerned. But the only saving grace coming in from Mineski in this early game is that Snoy has been pretty much left alone all this time, and if he manages to farm up quite effectively, then he could be the hyper carry that Mineski needs to pull themselves through this game.
Yeah, Snoy would probably be the saving grace. TPS at this point of time is, like you said, pulling off that buffet strategy and will constantly probably shift their eyes to the top lane turret and then the next objective should just be Dragon once again when it respawns. So having that global gold in their favor just shows how much more power that they have in their hands. The Unteen's Unholy Grail completed already on the side of Oriel for, I don't know, the past 5 or 3 minutes or so, compared to Ziggs, who has only that, you know, the Chalice of Harmony as well as that Fiendish Codex. And on the side of, let's see, in the bot lane, God JJ already has that Bloodthirster, and TG does not even have his Blade of the Ruined King up just yet. So it's a very telling sign of how ahead Azubu Taipei Snipers is at this point in time.
Right, and I like what Mystic has chosen at this point of time to go for that early sort of mobility, because he knows for a fact that his team is pretty much ahead against Mineski, so he can go ahead and just grab that quick mobility boost. And there we go now, Oriel getting way out of position and getting boxed in as well as Wins comes to the rescue, and now Taipei Snipers are the one to catch Mineski in that pincer formation, and Exo will not be able to kind of grab the lantern to save his own life there, and now Set has to run for his dear life. There we go, with the command shockwave, that will be a rampage for Oriel there, and Taipei Snipers just decimating Mineski at this point of time. And there we go, with the Flash Dazzle as well, but Wins will choose not to go ahead and engage, and there's just so much damage for the side of Taipei Snipers for Mineski to even come back at this point of time, just 14 minutes in.
And look at what they are doing at this point of time. They win a fight about 2-0 in their favor, and well, the fight on top there, I don't think Zonda's really gonna be in much trouble here. They win the fight in the middle of the jungle with Oriel actually being the one caught out. They went for the counter aggression. They took the mid lane inner turret and immediately they rotate to the bot lane inner turret as well and just takes it out, and it's gonna be taken out right now. So from that fight, they won 2 kills as well as 2 turrets, and Mineski has yet to pick up any sort of global objective. Dragon is going to be up in another 10 seconds, and that's probably going to be the next objective that they're going to go for.
Right, and for our viewers who are not too sure of the buffet strategy, this is what Taipei Snipers are demonstrating to us right at this point of time. They always like to go for early group up and then secure 1 or 2 kills, and then after that just pressure on to a global objective, maybe a turret or even a dragon. And because of that, they are able to kind of secure a lot of global gold and vision advantage at this point of time, and right now they are sitting at a good close to 9,000 gold advantage with 8-1 kill advantage as well.
That's right, it is that global 9,000 gold advantage coming in, and the moment you actually hit pre-20 minutes and you have like a 6 turret deficit, it's extremely hard for you to come back from that one, no matter how fat that Jax may be at this point of time. He has the Blade of the Ruined King up at this moment, but Zonda will be building from the Sunsfire Cape into probably the Spirit Visage just to give him that extra boost of tankiness and resistance. And that's just gonna be so devastating. Look at the item disparity coming in. Oriel has the Death Cap completed, and look at what Exo has. He only has the Athene's Unholy Grail. He's probably gonna recall, so pick up a few just, you know, non-essential, a few simple AP items coming in, none of the core. He doesn't even have much gold. He only picks up a ward and he just picks up consumables. So that whole full item advantage ahead, and the fact that, whoa, Snore is gonna just get crushed here.
Right, and quick response coming from Taipei Snipers. They knew for the fact that Snore is the only member that has not been shown some love from their end. So they say, hey, why not we just pop over to the top lane, help Zonda a little bit, make sure that they take out the top lane turret as well. So that's going to be the final outer turret that stands in the way of Taipei Snipers. And this looks like they might even rotate over to do Baron. Are they going to do it? So they have the options and the firepower to do so, and a 17-minute Baron attempt coming in from Taipei Snipers.
Well, they did see Exo, TG, as well as Set in the bottom half of the map. So after taking that outer top lane turret down, they go for yet another global objective. Once again, the buffet strategy just gonna eat up all the objectives in the map. Noel is gonna get caught out from this one. He does spot out that Baron attempt, so Mineski has some kind of inkling that, you know what, TPS just took Baron. On the hunt is pop, and the flash as well as Assault and Battery comes in.
Right, Noah's just gonna melt out. Actually, he does avoid the shockwave, but not gonna be avoiding his death there, as Oriel will pick up once again another kill on their end, and that's 10-1 in advantage. And with the Baron buff up as well, it does look like what they need to do is just go back, get some items in, cash in all that money in the bank, and then go in for another objective once again, as we do see Zonda now facing off against TG here, and TG will grab the Dark Passage into safety.
Yeah, and look at the item disparity once more. I have to like kind of home in on it at this point of time. I was interrupted by the fight just now, but look at God JJ, Static Shift and Bloodthirster. And TG, ever since I kind of compared his items just now, he has yet to complete that Play of the Ring King. I don't know whether he has enough gold to go back and get it. Yes, he does, but still he is a full item behind God JJ.
And look at O'Real. He has that Magi Soul Stealer. I think it's the favorite item for most of our Taiwanese mid laners nowadays. They always like to go for the Magi Soul Stealer.
Well, they are extremely far ahead at this point of time. He's 5-0-3, so why not? Why not,
right? Just complete the set item and make it sure that you have everything right in the bank. And there we go now. Zonda now fending off 3 members and Mineski at this point of time. There we go. With the command shockwave just baited out effectively by Zonda there. Looks like Noah will be the first to go down, and Wins will go down to set in the meantime. PG now and Exo have to run for their dear lives, and the infected Cleaver now landing onto Snoy, and Snoy will be the one to kind of redeem there, and there we go with the Assault and Berry. God JJ will be the one to pick that one up, and Wins now has to charge in onto Exo, but with the satchel charge he is kind of able to disengage from this one, but that's already 4 members down on the side of Mineski.
Four members down as well as 4 charges added to the Magi Soul Stealer.
Right, 4 extra charges, man.
It's going to give you an additional 32 AP on top of that, so that's the buffet strategy in itself. Like I said, 20 minutes if you have a 6 turret advantage. Not really a 6 turret advantage, it's a 5 turret advantage, but they took 2 dragons versus a Baron. That's effectively more than 1 turret in itself.
There we go, on the hunt now, will collapse onto Set in there. Well, that was a quick decisive kill for them, and Zonda popping right back into the action with the teleport. It does feel like every time he uses the teleport, it will be up to maximum effectiveness.
Whoa, look at the boomerang blade.
So much damage, man. And God JJ will now pick up the kill with the finishing touches. And there we go, Snoy, Noel, and Exo will be the only members remaining to kind of find out. And there we go with the shockwave once again. Noel will just melt down to O'Real there, and adding more charges in the bank, man. 6 charges.
6 charges coming in? Wow. He just picked that item up, you know that, Chris?
Yeah, he just picked that up and he has 6 charges already. I would say that just escalated quickly.
Yes, that definitely escalated quickly. So they've been, ever since they took the Baron buff, after that top outer turret went down, they picked up 2 inhibitors as well as 2 inhibitor turrets. So I would say Baron buff worth it.
Very worth it indeed. And at this point, I don't really see how Mineski can come back to this one, but I guess what they can do is, oh, there we go with the surrender in the best of 5 series. And I guess that was the right call for themselves as well. We do see a lot of surrenders coming in, especially in the Korean League. And the main rationale behind that is that in this best of 5 series, you don't really want to demoralize yourself. You want to just, okay, you know for a fact this game is gone, and you want to relook at some of the strategies, see what you have picked up from game number 1, and then subsequently try to apply that for your subsequent games. And if you are able to kind of learn from what you did in game number 1, you'll be able to maybe formulate more things, and hopefully that will pick up some victory for yourself.
Yeah, that's probably going to pick up a few victories in itself. So going back, Mineski needs to regroup. Game number 1 goes to, obviously, the Azubu Taipei Snipers. They are very strong coming into this series. They showed that the buffet strategy really worked out. Let's see if they can pull it off for game number 2. Mineski needs to regroup and just do as much as possible to delay that buffet strategy, play into the mid game. Snoy, we saw, did a pretty good job farming in the top lane, so if they can easily transition into the mid game for game number 2, hopefully their plan